The Trump regime hit from a whistleblower letter from within regarding the Abrego Garcia case. But Harry Littman, it has broader implications because both the source of this whistleblower letter and the fact that it's calling out allegedly unlawful conduct by Emil Bove, who's the principal assistant deputy attorney general. It's one of the most important jobs in the Justice Department. And this letter that goes into painstaking detail says that at multiple times, Emil Bove just said, why would we even have to follow what federal courts are telling us in the first place? Where the regime just shut up, do what I say, and don't do what the federal judges say. Now, I think we all knew this was going on, although the lawyers who would go before the federal judges on these cases would try to dance around it. But the orders, they're coming from the top, Harry Littman. And just to remind everybody, Emil Bove was Donald Trump's personal attorney. He was the lawyer in the criminal case where Trump was convicted on the 34 felony counts. He looks like he can be a character straight out of the Munsters, I think. But anyway, Harry, talk to us about why this is a big deal. And, you know, we hear about whistleblower letters before and things like that, but this is a big one, isn't it?
Yes, and the reason it is Emil Bove, for his transgressions, which we'll go into a little bit more, is being rewarded handsomely tomorrow morning, Ben. That is to say, Wednesday morning, he goes before the Senate Judiciary Committee, where he has been nominated to be a judge on the Third Circuit Court of Appeals, just under the Supreme Court. So he's front and center, but it's also the whole kind of corrupt enterprise of his coming in, being the brass knuckles enforcer for Donald Trump, and maybe walking away with a huge lifetime reward. Remember, we knew about him, this guy. He came in. There were three people who came in early: Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche, the deputy, and then Emil Bove. And he was the brass knuckles enforcer. He came up early in the Adams case in New York. He's the guy who said, put down on paper, okay, I know that that maybe the law and the facts are there, but you still have to dump the case. That's basically as front and center a violation of what prosecutors do, as you can imagine, and it prompts the resignation of the top person and eventually 7 people, 3 in New York, 4 at Maine Justice, who have worked on the case and know that what Bove is forcing down their throats for sheer political reasons is getting rid of a solid, righteous case at the service of Trump's broader immigration priority and program. That's pretty bad. And that's a violation of all the norms within DOJ. Now we have this letter, though, and we have a letter from a guy we had also heard before, because he's the one in the Abrego Garcia case who was asked by the court, did you guys make a mistake in sending him down? And poor bastard, he told the truth. He followed his duty of candor to the court. By the way, he's not the only one. There were several others, including Trump's own Solicitor General, Todd Sawyer, who had to admit this. It was true. But this guy said, yeah, we made a mistake. And for his adherence to his duty of candor, the failure to adhere to which could have resulted in his being terminated, disbarred, or the like, Pam Bondi and Emil Bove put him on administrative leave, 15-year veteran in the Office of Immigration Litigation, and a couple of days later just dismiss him. We knew that much. Now we have 27 pages, and as you say, Ben, it is chapter and verse. So let me just cut to one anecdote. Remember, the whole big thing goes down with Boasberg on the 14th of March. We know now they have a meeting, on the 15th of March. And we know there's a meeting and the whistleblower is present where they talk about, well, the court might tell us that we can't do this. And Bove says, well, we'll have to consider saying, fuck you. That's a quote. to the court if that happens. And he also says that plane is taking off tomorrow no matter what. And the implication is quite clear of the no matter what the court says. So here's a guy who wants to be rewarded with a lifetime appointment, who has violated his duties to the court, violated every norm within the Department of Justice, and violated his oath to the Constitution by putting Donald Trump in front of it first. And I just want to say, it's not just him. We'll have, this is going to be a brouhaha when it goes before the Judiciary Committee. You'll hear, lamentably, it's what they always do. They'll try to trash this guy, but we know he's a 15-year solid citizen of the DOJ till he was fired. But look, this is really about the sickness and corruption of the regime. Bove is a willing player here, and he goes in and he'll kick ass for Donald Trump. But this is really, you can imagine it's John Mitchell in 1973 getting placed on a court of appeals rather than in jail where he belonged. I'm not saying that's where Bove belongs, but I am saying he is not just a lone actor because he does the corrupt thing of being the enforcer, the brass knuckles enforcer for Donald Trump. He's being rewarded. So the reward harms the Constitution, harms DOJ, but also elevates, should he get it, really delivers for the bad guys who should not be profiting a real plum lifetime appointment. It is a really unfortunate day if Bove gets out of committee and is confirmed.
I went through this 27-page letter.
Yeah.
He's represented by the Government Accountability Project, and They do a good job showing how this individual, his name is Erez Ruvini. Yeah. He was promoted back in March 21st of 2025. That guy, Drew Ensign, the Deputy Assistant Attorney General over immigration litigation. You and I talk about Drew a lot. He's kind of either the short straw guy or the willing participant in it.
He's Mikey. He'll eat anything. He'll say anything up there. That's right.
He's the one who just gets yelled at by Trump-appointed judges, Bush-appointed judges, Obama, Biden, Reagan, and he just goes up there and just says, we're the regime. This is what we do. So back on March 21st, 2025, they promote the whistleblower. Hi, all. I'm pleased to announce that the Civil Division has selected Erez Ruvini to serve as the acting deputy director covering district court litigation and litigation teams at OILGLA, the immigration division that you mentioned, Harry. As you know, Erez is a top-notch litigator who has taken some of OIL's most challenging cases over the past nearly 15 years. Before that time, he served as a law clerk for Judge John O. Newman of the Second Circuit and in private practice. While at OIL, Erez has led a team as assistant director for over 7 years, served multiple stints as counsel in the civil division, front office and associate's office, led and litigated complex cases, protected our immigration authorities, developed sanctuary city affirmative cases, and worked closely with our many excellent attorneys handling district court litigation. So this wasn't someone who was...
This guy's no infidel, right?
This guy's not engaged in malfeasance. That was from March. And then between March 14, 2015 and his unlawful suspension...
2025.
March 14, 2025, and his unlawful suspension, April 5th, 2025, Mr. Ruvini refused to obey illegal orders and made protected whistleblower disclosures before ultimately being fired. Ruvini's disbelief following the meeting with Bove, don't follow the court's order, listen to me, you put what we and Trump say over what you think the law is. Over the next 3 weeks, Ruvini was involved in 3 separate cases involving the legality of the administration's immigration removal operations under its newly implemented priorities, during which he directly witnessed and reported 1. DOJ officials undermining the rule of law by ignoring court orders, DOJ officials presenting legal arguments which they knew had no basis in law, high-ranking DOJ and DHS officials misrepresenting facts presented before the courts, And finally, DOJ officials directing Mr. Ruvini to misrepresent facts in one of these cases in violation of Mr. Ruvini's legal and ethical duties as an officer of the court.
And
Mr.
I just got to interrupt you there, Ben. I'm sorry, but that very sentence, that makes your head spin, right? You've been there. I've been there. Imagine a supervisor comes in and tells you basically to lie to the court. That's like end my career. And what are we here for? It just couldn't be worse. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's an important
on its own. Yeah,
it's an important point. And then he writes in this letter, Ruvini's internal reporting and ultimately his refusal to obey this illegal order directly resulted in his suspension and termination. So all of those things we listed, to your point, Harry, are things that can get you disbarred. And kind of basic answers when you take an ethics class in law school. Can these things get you disbarred? True, right away. It's one of the most basic things you learn. So what we're saying here is that basically one of Trump's top DOJ lawyers, who's about to become a potentially Third Circuit Court of Appeals judge, the allegations are violated the law, directed state bar violations and district bar violations. And I think this gets brought up at Emil Bove's, it will always get brought up. And I think it will be a stain to the Third Circuit if he ultimately gets elevated. I'll give you the final word.
Well, let me just say it will be brought up and front and center. And what will we see? We'll see the Trump playbook. We've already seen it. The spokesperson for DHS says this is a disgruntled employee. Of course, he actually was there for Trump 1.0 and he got nothing but plaudits and awards, but that's what they're going to say. They're going to try to trash the messenger. And then second, a very important point to raise, in a functioning Department of Justice, there's a whistleblower regime that he's following. It's now being public, but he submitted it as he was leaving the Department of Justice. This should give rise to a robust OPR review and potentially discharge of Emil Bove. And I think instead it'll go into somebody's bottom drawer and they'll never do anything with it. It's part of the complete politicization and corruption of the DOJ itself. So he won't get justice likely, very possibly on both sides of the, both within DOJ and within Congress, though, as always, right, we've got a razor thin margin, that may come down to Vance to break the tie, but it would just take a couple people. But who's the constituency among the senators, the Republican senators, to actually speak for the Constitution, care about this, be at all unnerved? I can't think of that person now, and that may mean that Emil Bove dons a robe and does justice and takes an oath that we know he's already violated. This is really a pretty dark day.
Thinking about having cases before this guy, and having to argue in front of him, and that he's the one who will make material decisions over people's lives when we see his horrific behavior here. Make sure everybody subscribes to Harry Litman's YouTube channel, the Talking Feds YouTube channel. Just search right now after this video, Talking Feds. Watch some of Harry's other videos, subscribe. Also, if you have a Substack or if you have audio podcast that you like to listen to, also search Talking Feds and you'll be able to listen to it. Thanks, Harry.
Thank you, Ben. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.